In a extraordinarily desperate attempt to damage control the situation, Nick Rekieta has forced Elissa Clips to delete all of her videos covering last night's local stream. If only another YouTuber would come out and post those same videos on his channel. If only someone would do that.
I don't know what's happening to me. I'm getting all the blame for things I didn't do. Can anybody tell me just what I did wrong? I'm all alone and I'm so confused. I don't know what everyone wants me to be. I only know just how to be me. Once I was the ape of the hour, they think I'm a coward, an absolute zero. I'm nobody's hero.
I didn't watch the video, but like Legal Mindset, it's like why people stopped interacting with Nick Rekieta. It's like I stopped inviting people on my show because I couldn't reliably say I would be on a given night. I think you guys remember before I got arrested, my schedule was very erratic and I was canceling a lot of shows. I think it's obvious now I was dealing with a maniac as part of it, and I was genuinely sick. When I said I was sick, I was genuinely sick. That was never a lie, not once. So I want that, to be known. But that being said, like I stopped inviting people on the show because I couldn't promise to actually show up to my own show. That's why people stopped interacting with me. Legal Mindset can make up whatever reason he wants. I stopped interacting with him because he's a fucking nerd. He's sitting here selling this like, oh, here's how you go be a big swinging dick in Asia. It's like, why? Because you couldn't in the US? What's wrong with you? Oh, wait, look at you. There's tons wrong with you. First of all, you're a fucking nerd. Second of all, you're not actually interesting or entertaining. Third of all, you're not attractive and you're not a slayer of women like he portrays to be. It's fucking hilarious that he's out there like teaching guys how to do guy shit. It's like, bro, look, anybody can look at you and just tell that whatever you're selling is not a healthy product, man. Skull Eater, he's not a lawyer with money. He's tall and has good hair, sort of, except he walks with a really awkward limp when you meet him in person. Kind of takes away from that tallness. And he's got that lazy fucking eye. Scanning for the government or whatever at all times. Looking for his debt collectors. Ah! You and Drexel still on bad terms, as I heard. You said he was mad at you. Well, he doesn't talk to me, so I don't know if we're on good or bad terms at all. I would like to talk to him. I think I have some things to talk to him about, but is April really pregnant? April is not pregnant. But it's a funny rumor. A rumor cut completely out of, I think, out of whole cloth by Aaron. In the meanwhile, you could probably watch, keep an eye on April's Twitter. That was rather unexpected today, but it's very, very funny.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething. You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething. You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping so hard.
Hey, you know what? I realized something today. There are people out there that didn't get bullied enough. And they're still fucking nerds. So they can get lost. I'm tired of it. I wouldn't talk to these people in normal real life. And so like if you want to talk to me, like I don't care who you actually are, but have some common fucking decency, because I will have common decency with other people. When I find out that someone's just a fucking nerd with no joy in their life, I don't want them around anymore. So they're gone. And you'll know what I mean. I don't mean like, oh, I'm a nerd because I like books. I mean, you're a nerd because you're a fucking nerd. So get out. And all those people should be bullied and beaten to death. Yeah, no, I'm good with it. So to make sure that I was comfortable saying that. Very much so. Yeah, it was really refreshing. It was good. It made me happy to do that. I have never blocked people on Twitter. I don't think, I may have an errant block in there somewhere, but I don't think I do. In something like 6 years, I haven't blocked anyone. And today I just started blocking a whole shitload of people. And it's so great. Oh, so good. And I'm going to do it again. As they, show up and waste my time, I'm just going to start blocking people. I gave them long enough. I'm done with them. And that makes me really happy. And I found out that that's something that I should be focusing much more on in my life, is joy. Those range cultists really deserve it. Dude, it's unhealthy. Like, there are some people out there who just like are really, really into it, which is fine. I just don't need them on my timeline shitting up every post I make and every reply, because I've got other stuff to do and other stuff to talk about, and they make it difficult to even have conversations with people. So I got rid of them. And yeah, man, these people are joyless. They have no concept of like comedy or humor or self-deprecation in any real capacity. And they're always so fucking serious. And it's like, why? Why can't you guys, like, you can't, they'll take a joke all day, except for when you actually make one. Then they won't take a joke anymore. Then they want to call the fucking police because of jokes or whatever. It's like, oh my God, when did the internet police show up to everything? It's like, oh, look, that person, they're talking and I don't like them. Okay, cool. I am tired of it. The other thing that makes me laugh is I know it's going to fucking bother them being called nerds. Because it always will. That's the funny thing about nerds. They're always bothered when they're reminded that they're nerds. The internet removed the ability for someone to get punched in the fucking mouth. And it made these people think that they were like cool. It's like, all right, you're not though. Like I've seen you people. You don't fit in at a brothel. You don't fit in anywhere. That's why you're on the internet all day. That's fine. Stay there. Just don't talk to me about how I live. Because I like my life way better than that. It's amazing. I don't give a shit anymore about other people's like imposition of my personal policies. I didn't block people because I didn't want to block people. Well, 7 years of retards. I'm going to block them. Oh, he's a paying customer? Okay, go. Don't pay me anymore. Sorry. Like, I just don't care. I really do appreciate all of you. Every single person who stuck with me through all of this stuff. But if someone's going to be here just fucking bitching, goodbye. I'm done with it. Again, I'll say it one more time for those in the back. When the government can take your kids, none of this other shit matters. People are toxic. They're not good for your life. I fucked with one too many streamers, and they're unappeasable and joyless. So they can just go on the Keno Casino. Okay, yeah. Two fucking loser Canadians with a combined IQ that's lower than the average calories in a bite that PPP takes. No, thank you. Andy Borski can get fucked, and PPP can't get fucked because it's biologically impossible. He's too fat. He's too much of a nerd. Hi, we have a show where we make up shit. Okay, cool. Great. So does everybody else. I sound scared. Cool. Terrified. Funny thing, there was a time they could have easily gotten me on the show, and I would have been happy to make them a bunch of money. But not anymore. Then you're just felted. No one's ever fucking cared about that expression. When the government can take your kids, you don't give a shit what two retarded Canadians think. Sorry. They burned their chance for me to give a shit. Was there any end in sight yet? I have a settlement conference on November 25th. Ending before that is really unlikely. I guess it's possible that my appeal could go through. It's possible that Lady Rackets could get the warrant thrown out. If she gets the warrant thrown out, it gets thrown out for me. It's possible that April could get the warrant thrown out. Does either Kayla or April getting the warrant tossed help your case? Yeah, any of them get the warrant tossed and we all win. Am I going to jail? Very unlikely. It's always possible. I mean, I get to talk about all this eventually, not right now. But the litany of shit and how the telephone game effectively works through government to just fuck you is amazing. It's amazing because, on the criminal side, you have some protections. In the family side, you don't. So they use everything against you, even shit that didn't happen, because they misread stuff. That's cool. I've said it a couple times, and you get to tell all this story. I'll explain it more thoroughly, but people always think of the conspiracy as like a grand thing that like the government is like, aha, we target this guy, but it's not. Cool thing is I actually found the multiple mini conspiracies and the evidence. It's not what some people believe. It's not like the government did not target me as far as I can tell and go, this guy is dangerous, we gotta blah blah blah. But they don't normally do that. That involves too much. What happens is one or two people get a bug up their ass and they just do something a little bit wrong, or they leave out something, or they accidentally switch a detail, and you're done. You're done. There's nothing you can really do about it either. You can try and argue. They'll never be punished. And the judges don't like to go your way, especially on drug cases, because of one very specific thing, like especially out here, right? Out here, there's one drug testing lab in the county. And the next closest drug testing lab is an hour away. And after that, it's another hour to the next one. So if they find a problem with the drug testing lab, every case then goes on the chopping block. So they're hesitant to find a problem with drug testing, because then all of the drug testing that they're doing becomes suspect. And that means that, people who maybe have a drug case or whatever that makes sense might be getting off. They might be able to use that problem. So then all the decisions about any drug testing lab are always like these limiting things, like, oh, it's only this one, like this is the only time it happens. Like, well, why do you have a bunch of decisions that go this way? But it makes it kind of difficult to fight and defend when you know the judge isn't going to go, he's not going to rule for you against a drug lab. It's just not. Maybe in a major metro area on certain cases, but out in the country when it's the only lab, no way. Not in a way that'll make the lab look at all bad. They're just not. They have no reason to believe you because they think you're a drug user. It doesn't really matter. That's what jury trials end up for, but the reality is a lot of the stuff in family cases especially should have been dealt with by judges as a matter of law, and they don't. And there's no jury. There's no jury in the family case. The judge has no interest in bucking the system. I can't wait to tell you about the my case, though. I mean, win or lose, it doesn't matter. The stuff that's happened is stuff that should really trouble people about the system, and I have all the evidence to back it up. Like, it's not making it up. I've got recordings, I've got the documents, I've got all this stuff. Not to talk too much about it, but I mean, one thing people make fun of is that the government says that they gave me my video and that I downloaded it on July, whatever. They didn't present evidence that they did that. The judge just accepted that they did that, but they never did. They have not ever given me a copy of my video, and they haven't gotten it from Rumble or YouTube. I can tell because I have the analytics, right? I can tell when the views stopped coming in, what day it was. Guess what? Views stopped coming in on the 21st because that's when I locked both of them down. There are no views on the 22nd. So that officer who said he watched my video absolutely did not. He didn't. He has lied. But the state said, well, we gave Nick his video. And the judge said, oh, okay. And that's the reality of court. They didn't have to prove it. In fact, the judge came after us for not filing something to prove them out. The thing that my lawyer didn't file is actually great. That thing is, it's Supplemental Report 8, okay? Supplemental Report 8 includes 4 videos that the state sent me, actually Detective Pomplin, 4 videos that he says that he used to make the warrant request, right? Mind you, the warrant was signed by the judge at 4:06 p.m. on the 22nd, okay? That's important. 4 videos provided to me by the detective that the detective claims he reviewed to make the warrant request were all created after the warrant was approved by the judge. The lawyer tried to explain that to the judge, and he's just like, no, the state says it did this. But the state never provided any evidence that they gave it to me. They just said it. It's amazing. Is that a sandwich for Sean? No, I don't have 2 loaves of bread. By the way, you want a fucking nerd? There's one. I'm gonna paint my models. Yeah, have fun. What a loser. Started remembering, like, all these people are actually just losers, and the internet made them forget that they were, and they should all be shoved into, I mean, you can't shove him into a locker, you need a whole dumpster or whatever, but they all deserve to go back to where they were. Can you imagine that 700-pound oaf? You ever listen to one of his boring-ass streams? He sits there, he's like, we got a 16 grams of Bolivian blow. He'll, like, say these expressions that he's either made up or stolen from some shitty book. And he acts like he's cool, like, you know, he's done all this stuff and he's got this experience, he's a criminal defense attorney, but it's like, no, look at him, he's just a model painting fat nerd, which is fine. It's probably who you want defending you, honestly. You probably don't want me. I'll probably ruin something for you, but he's fine with that. But stop trying to, like, pretend to be cool, because that's weird. You're not cool. We can all see you. But he does that. And then all of a sudden he's like, Nick, you got caught with blah, blah, blah. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. How does that affect you? Please tell me more about it. All these little bitches sitting there whining and crying at me. My friend, I'm worried about. No, you aren't. They never were. There's like 3 or 4 people out there who are actually concerned for me from jump, have stayed concerned with me because they're actually friends. The rest are, most people are just neutral, which is perfectly acceptable. Who cares? And then a couple of people are overtly hostile for no fucking reason because I was never ever rude to them or bad to them. But man, were they just waiting for the opportunity to really show the world how much they needed to make me wrong about something. Is that a sandwich for Sean? No, I don't have 2 loaves of bread. By the way, you want a fucking nerd? There's one. I'm gonna paint my models. Yeah, have fun. What a loser. Started remembering like all these people are actually just losers and the internet made them forget that they were, and they should all be shoved into, I mean, you can't shove him into a locker, you need a whole dumpster or whatever, but they all deserve to go back to where they were. Can you imagine that 700-pound if you ever listen to one of his boring ass streams, he sits there, he's like, we got a 16 grams of Bolivian blow. He'll like say these expressions that he's either made up or stolen from some shitty book. And he acts like he's cool, like, you know, he's done all this stuff and he's got this experience, he's a criminal defense attorney, but it's like, no, look at him, he's just a model painting fat nerd, which is fine. It's probably who you want defending you, honestly. You probably don't want me. I'll probably ruin something for you, but he's fine with that. But stop trying to, like, pretend to be cool, because that's weird. You're not cool. We can all see you. But he does that. And then all of a sudden he's like, Nick, you got caught with blah, blah, blah. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. How does that affect you? Please tell me more about it. All these little bitches sitting there whining and crying at me. My friend, I'm worried about. No, you aren't. They never were. There's like 3 or 4 people out there who are actually concerned for me from jump, have stayed concerned with me because they're actually friends. The rest are, most people are just neutral, which is perfectly acceptable. Who cares? And then a couple of people are overtly hostile for no fucking reason because I was never ever rude to them or bad to them. But man, were they just waiting for the opportunity to really show the world how much they needed to make me wrong about something. There was so much opportunity to have fun through like a lot of this, and it got burnt by angry, sad people. And here's the thing, look, I get that some people feel betrayed in some way, and I'm sorry, I don't see it. Because I didn't tell anybody on some promise other than the 5,000 locals gift, which, believe it or not, that will happen. If I die doing it, it'll happen. But a whole bunch of crazy shit has been alleged, and I'll get around to addressing all of it as I can. But like, there's a duality where people want you to, they say like, don't talk about your personal life. So then you don't talk about your personal life, and then they're like, you lied about your personal life. It's like, actually, it just wasn't your fucking business. And it doesn't affect you in any way. That's the amazing thing, is that outside of maybe some content variations that happen when one person goes on a crazy tirade, it didn't affect anybody at all. So I didn't scam anyone for a charity or anything like that. I don't even know how to do a crypto thing, like a crypto. I would do one of those crypto scams. Those seem great. But I don't know how to do those. I'm not tech literate in that way, so that didn't work. Put you on a pedestal of their own making, and you failed the anime headcanon of you. Just like you always said, judges are just a person in a robe. Nick is just a dude on the internet. I don't know why people are so hung up. Me either. And I'm just a fun, happy dude. Like, that, not right, not lately. Reasons. Caesar Day, thank you. I'm glad you don't feel betrayed, because I didn't betray you. And I wouldn't. I like you guys. Doesn't make sense to betray you. One of the issues I always had was that there's a bunch of stuff I didn't talk about because it wasn't ever meant to be public. It's not that I didn't want to talk about them, the stuff. It's stories that involved other people, and it's other people. I respect the wishes of other people on stuff like that. But I like talking about stuff. I don't really care what people know. Someone decided to make public a lot of things that were not supposed to be public. And along with that came a lot of lies. And I have the truth. And the reason you'll know what the truth is because I'm just not fucking ashamed of much of anything. Because again, it wasn't anybody's business. But yeah. So, I have fun stories to tell coming up. I always hated not telling them. So, I'm looking forward to that. Some of them are going to have to wait till the court cases are over. Let's just say there's been some dishonesty out there. Have I been drinking? No. No, I can't. I'm still drug and alcohol tested like 4 times a week. So, no, can't drink. Can't wait for the day I can. It'll be great. But no, I've not been drinking or doing any drugs or anything like that. I know there's a bunch of people out there who really want that to be true. They're like, oh my God, he tweeted. There you go. Liquor is not coming back to the show for maybe a long, long time. Maybe never, which is fine. It was part of the show. I used way too much of it. It became a crutch on the show. It was at first a feature, then it became a bug, we'll say. And so for at least a good while, there's not going to be alcohol on the show. I may not legally be able to have it too. I don't know. But even so, there probably won't be any on the show because for now, I need to focus on making a good show again. And that's what I'm more concerned with. And for what it's worth, right now at least, I do a better show when I'm not drinking. Of course, I don't really know. I haven't had a drink since June 5th. But that was on me. It was my fault, my choices. I'm the one who chose to take all the drinks. I'm proud of other people's sobriety. I have mine because I have to. I don't really care. I don't care about liquor. I like whiskey. But I don't like neat alcohol. I just really like whiskey. What are your general impressions of the Dabbleverse since you're thrust in, more or less toxic in LawTube? My impressions of the Dabbleverse is, God, I hate every community that exists on YouTube. All of them, unequivocally, without exception. I think they're all terrible. I don't think the Dabbleverse is any better, and I am shocked at how many people watch shows about absolute fucking nobody. I'm not a sauerkraut person. When did I start vaping? When the government fucked me. And I needed a cigarette after. Did you say, was it as good for you as it was for me after they fucked you? No. They left me sleeping on the bed. My son's been buddy-buddy with Vic Mignogna. Yeah, I need to talk to Vic. I've owed him a conversation since December. I haven't read my appeal. I hope Guys, my appeal's going to lose. Almost guaranteed. Because appeals are for losers. Winning them is a long shot. Not making any bones about it. Believe me, I want my appeal to win, but it's probably going to lose. I haven't read it, though. So I hope it's competent this time. That'd be good. I'm getting a lot of criticism from people who should know better. insinuating or directly saying that it's me who's writing these briefs, me running legal defense and all that stuff in the strategy. No, you hire a lawyer to do that for you, and then you let him do it. It's infuriating. It's not what I would do in some cases. And that goes both ways. Like, it's not what I would do because it's very smart, like, angle to attack. Or it's not what I would do because I don't think it's very useful. But that's why you hire someone else. Again, I have so many stories that have to all have to wait until this is done. Everything's wrapped up. And like, specifically so, I have to really watch what I say. So I just won't say anything. Technically might not matter, but didn't you tweet that you did mountains of cocaine? I think I tweeted that I was on a mountain of cocaine at some point in time. Yeah, yes. It says absolutely nothing about the crime I am charged with. So I know some people are freaking out about it. Andrew was going on about that. Andrew's a fucking idiot. Like, it doesn't matter. Dude, if I otherwise am winning and they hang me on a tweet about doing mountains of cocaine at a completely different date and location, I guess they got me. Personally, don't think the tweets help public opinion. Yeah, I'm not trying to. Like, it's funny, people like Nick needs to take accountability or whatever, and then you say something, and they're like, I can't believe he said that. So, which one do you want, man? Like, do you want someone to be honest? Or do you want them to not say anything? Like, what? Oh, why do you care? That's the other thing. I don't mind that people find my life interesting or like my situation interesting. I find it interesting. I want to talk about it more. It's one of the reasons I haven't been streaming so much is because I didn't want to talk about it tonight, but I drift into it. So it's like, but I don't mind that people are interested, but that's where it should stop. Like, you're just interested, you're learning about it, whatever. People make it out like my life somehow affects theirs in some way. Like, I've grossly offended them. When do you anticipate being able to tell your side completely unfettered? Hopefully by the end of the year. But I don't know. It depends. It depends on if I'm going to trial, and it depends on when the trial date is. The trial date could be, if I'm going to trial, the trial date could be in February or March. It's hard to say. One of the things that I learned is that someone compiled stuff I said about Jesus out of context and sent it to the pastor who reported us. So the pastor's report is influenced by out of context quotes I made about Jesus, which are quotes not of authority, because I'm not an authority on the Bible at all. I'm just a guy who likes to read and think when I have time. And so the exploration of the text was me doing textual criticism of various parts of the Bible because I find it interesting. And then being a little cheeky about Jesus' divinity, which I actually believe in, never didn't. There's a point, I think, to the fact that God came down as a man. And I don't think Jesus saw himself as sinless. The way he describes sin at the Sermon on the Mount, I think he very clearly considers himself a sinner. We say that Jesus was without sin. That's fine. Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. I don't think Jesus considers himself without sin. I don't think that God is constrained by some rule that requires a pure blood sacrifice to forgive sin. God can just go, I forgive you. Like, he can just do that because he's God, right? But people are like, nope, he couldn't do that. he needed Christ to die on the cross. That was the only way. It's like, that doesn't make sense. That's magic. That's not religion. That's not faith. And so it's like, the problem is I get into discussions about that and I actually think through the problems and the questions that come up. And I often come to a conclusion that sounds something like regular Christian doctrine. But sometimes there's a period in the middle where I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of a strange part of the text. And people take that and they go, see, he's hates Jesus. It's like, no, I like that guy. He's funny. He hangs around with cool people. That whole discussion to me was more about, do I care if Jesus wasn't sinless? No, I don't give a shit. The Word of Virgin says Jesus cannot sin against himself. That's how I reconcile that, Nick. Of course he can. Why can't he? Like if Jesus just murdered a guy, like that'd be sinning against himself. It wouldn't, I guess you could say, well, since he's God and God makes the choices of right and wrong, God can only choose right, then Jesus' choices are always right, therefore he's sinless. But that's like it's a fallacy. That's not a real way to get to that. That's a philosophical cheat mode. But the whole thing is, the pastor who reported us got video compilations from people about things I said about religion. He never talked to me about them. He could have. I talked to him all the time. But he never said anything. Not one thing. I think he's an absolutely terrible human. I just thought he was a mediocre pastor before, but he always seemed caring. But people show you the truth about them. That's about the only words I've said to that pastor. I said, where was my family's pastor? I know there's a snaky retard out there who's told a bunch of stories about my life. One day friend I get to talk to. And I have a bunch of stories about your life. I have a bunch of stories about your life. Can I tell you now? Does it hurt your case? No, I don't want to do anything that could potentially influence the testimony of a potential state witness. So any of those stories will just have to wait until all that legal ramifications are out of there. Someone's got a problem with what I do or say at this point. You can't take my kids. The government can. Fuck off. I'm not scared of any of you. You get a little perspective change. Get a little perspective change when the government comes into your life and starts fucking around. You start finding out. Because the government never finds out. They just make you do it. Have never felt as unhealthy as being under the watchful eye of the government. Never felt as terrible about like myself mentally or physically. They've truly done a number on my life and I get to spend a lot of time fixing it. But hey, the good news is I actually want to fix it. I haven't paid attention to anything other than, well, to be honest, trying not to, like I got really close to some really dark thoughts. So keeping myself away from, cliffs or whatever has been high priority. But I got through that. So seriously, thanks for everybody out there who sends me messages of support and stuff. I'm really sorry I have not gotten back to them like I used to. But, that's how it goes. Going through all this has been really frustrating. But recently I remembered something. I fucking like me. I like me, like, I don't really want to change much. Like, obviously there's some things that probably need to be changed, but just in general, I like me. Fuck anybody who doesn't. Go away. go do something else. I don't mind. You're supposed to fuck the ones that do like you. No, trust me, Skull Leader, you get in trouble for that one too. It's one thing they don't really prep you for in streamer school. Like, you're going to live your shitty days in front of the camera too, because the show keeps going. And that's where a lot of big problems come in, at least for me. I'm reacting to a shitty day. Most people's shitty days aren't recorded and broadcast. Here's the thing, like, with streaming, if you're streaming and you kind of look like a sad sack of garbage, people don't really want to watch. It's not entertaining. So while I was a sad sack of garbage, I didn't stream. But I've been spending a lot of time finding myself. I've done a shitload of therapy, which is great. As I come back, I'm only going to talk to people I want to talk to. It really sucks because I'm not going to be in the mood to help people for a while. They probably don't want my help, which is fine. It's dumb though because I'm fun. But that's okay. I'm not going to be in the mood to help people out or whatever because it's exhausting helping people only to have them try and fuck you over and over and over again. Biggest goal for my channel right now is finding a trial that I can actually cover reasonably. I don't know if you guys remember it, but I think it was I said the same thing a day or 2 days before I got arrested. And I was serious. I was so mad. Anyway, normally people say, oh, yeah, you should try something. You shouldn't, don't try getting arrested for a felony. That's not one I recommend. Keep that off the list. Oh, and anyone who thinks that I gave cocaine to my child or that my child actually ingested any cocaine is fucking retarded. And you should kill yourself. Unironically. Yeah, a little tired of that one. Oh, you did this. No, I didn't. And when we found out about the test, we demanded a retest. We asked them, please, help us figure this out. The state refused. The state refused to retest the child. We believe there was some sort of error in the testing process. Also, there's something to cover at trial if it comes down to it as well about that. But eventually probably talk about publicly. But for now, it's got to remain under wraps. But let's just say that there's an alternative explanation. But the one explanation that makes the least sense is the one that the test says occurred. Yeah, Mr. Miyagi, Dick is suspicious of anything that doesn't make sense. That test doesn't make sense. We wanted to know what happened, right? Lady Raggets and I wanted to know what happened because that's our child and we had concerns about it and we know it didn't happen. But that's not the only false test that's happened in this case, so it's crazy. Oh, by the way, let me just say this. Literally all of the kid shit is bogus. All of it. Anything where the kids are hungry or dirty or stinky or whatever, any of those reports, those are all fucking false. None of that happened. None of that was true. People make a big deal out of my 6-year-old. People make a big deal out of my 6-year-old. Asking the police officer to help her get clean clothes. They're like, see, dirty child. It's no, she had just woken up for the day. She was still in pajamas. She needed to change into clean clothes because our kids do wear clean clothes. So, all that shit was entirely fake. The amount of money spent on food in this house, they're not hungry. They can all cook for themselves. It's insane. But hey, that's how it goes.